right, guys, welcome to another edition of Texans Unfiltered. We are blessed to be joined by Antonio Cromartie. David, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with me today. I'm super excited to talk to you. I see a potential cornerback one.
Can move very well, can play man-to-man very well.
I think that he is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes.
He does things that are so amazing, and the competitor in him is just special.
I'm excited, man, and I can't wait to get there. I think it does really fit my skill set.
Housekeeping. This is probably the most relevant conversation right now. Do we want to talk about Earl Thomas? We're gonna talk about Earl Thomas. There's a lot to talk about with Earl Thomas. So many back and forths. I don't really think anybody truly has an understanding of what happened. I was trying to do some research on the workouts that happened. It looks like those workouts actually happened yesterday, according to the NFL transaction wire. They did not happen today. So there's a lot of contradicting reports that are happening. I saw, so to take you guys back, Earl Thomas last night came out. Texans are interested in Earl Thomas. We're going to bring him in for a workout today. And then that didn't happen because of COVID-19, because, of course, the Titans messed everything up, as that's what the Titans do. They're the only team so far to have the COVID outbreaks in the manner that they did. Because of that, the NFLPA and NFL it had to put out a memo to all NFL teams telling them to be a little bit more cautious in regards to bringing in free agents and tryouts and things of that nature. Then there were reports that there was internal discussions about not wanting to bring in Earl Thomas. They didn't say why. They just said there was internal discussions that came from Pancakes. And then Aaron Wilson tweeted out the workouts. And if you look to the right, you'll actually see dates. And then if you actually go to the transaction wire, you'll see dates as well. They were all dated the 28th. So none of the workouts actually happened today. And then you see that Janice McNair stepped in and basically said it's a no-go. Earl Thomas is not coming here. Jordan, where do we start? Like, where do we go? Because there's still blame that BOB is going to have to take, right? Coming off the Steelers loss, mixed in with the Earl Thomas stuff. It was very like a blue balls type of treatment. Hey, Earl Thomas is coming. Oh my God, character issues. No way. Cool. And then no wait, Earl Thomas isn't coming. Where do we go, Jordan? Where do we go?
It was a roller coaster of emotions. I didn't know what to feel. When I first heard it, I was really excited because I think Earl Thomas is still a very talented player. Watching the film, he's still a very talented player. And while it may not be the biggest need on the team, he would instantly be the best safety on the team, in my opinion. And now going through this roller coaster of will it happen, won't it happen? Like, I don't know what to believe. There's so many different reports out there saying different things. I think everything has a little bit of truth to it. Yep. I think there was mutual interest on both sides. I think there was a workout scheduled. It wasn't all smoke. And then I think the question to me is whether the workout got canceled because of COVID or because of Janice. I believe there's some truth to both of those, but I just don't know the order of which one happened first. That's basically what we're trying to figure out here. And if it was purely COVID and if Janice is fine with it, then that's great. Then maybe we can schedule it for next week, get him in for before week 5 game. But he's definitely not going to be playing for us against the Vikings. And I don't know. I don't know if he ever will play in a Texans jersey, but I hope so.
Yeah, it's one of those things that nobody knows exactly what's going on. This is something that Pancakes has been a little bit off for the past couple of years. There's been rumors that he lost a lot of his connections once the Kubiak era ended. And granted, I shouldn't have called him Pancakes, John McClain. I mean, he's been right a lot. He's been wrong a lot. Him and John Lopez essentially pushed this idea that Janice McNair stepped in. If that happened, Bill O'Brien's got some huge issues, and he's about to be gone. Which, I mean, we'll probably get into that here eventually too. But if Janice McNair really shot it down, then that's something else. But if you look at what's going around the league, everybody got called and told to double up their COVID protocols, like to improve them. The Titans actually had a player test positive the day before the game. Then on Tuesday, they have 3 more. So this is all about COVID. Granted, doesn't mean doesn't matter. Does Earl Thomas end up on the Texans now because of it or not? Who knows? They may have created an issue where he doesn't end up signing. Like they may end up thinking it over now that there's time and it's not a panic reaction, because we know Bill O'Brien's kind of known for panic reactions. And if he was able to do a panic reaction without something like this happening, then yeah, Earl Thomas is on the team. No doubt. But maybe this does get Bill O'Brien to slow down, which is kind of a shame because, obviously this move had to come from Deshaun actually having some sort of pull because they share an agent. Deshaun's already vouched for him. He probably vouched for him to Bill O'Brien. And Thomas steps out, and he's one of the best players on our secondary the moment he's out there. Like, we could definitely use him. The only concerns about him are all character. And we're supposed to be coming from the Patriots system where you take those bad character guys every now and then, you take them at a discounted rate, and because your culture is supposed to be so strong, it doesn't matter if they have a bad character. They actually come out with a better reputation than they go in. That's what we're supposed to be doing here. And we really haven't used that. Well, I mean, maybe once, maybe.
No, not at all. I can't think of one character issue that we've actually taken on. Maybe draft-wise, there's been some things, but I've never seen a free agent that's had the character issues. And, I don't even know if they're real character issues. That's personal life stuff. Those are choices that people make. I really don't know if there's a character-driven, in my opinion. Whether we believe in them or don't or should be done, that's really neither here or there. Those are other people's lives. So, the issue on the Ravens where he got kicked off, that could be taken two ways. It could be, look, you're blowing a coverage. I'm trying to tell you where to be. You're not listening. Like, I've been trying to tell you that all camp, blah, blah, blah. Who knows what led up to that? I don't believe it's one play. And I'm sure Earl would tell you that himself. So, in regards to Janice, I do believe that Janice stepped in. I really do. And me and Cody got into it on Slack about Janice and John Lopez reporting it. There's a lot of people within that have covered Houston sports for a long time. One of them is John Lopez. And he doesn't say things or put things out very often, but when he does, I usually will take them. And when he says it's Janice, we're talking about a guy who's been at dinner with Janice and Bob and Cal and individual dinners. This guy he covered Houston sports for 20 years. He was there during the inaugurational season. He's covered them since then. And then when Patrick Storm basically doubled down on it, that just kind of told me a little bit more about it. Now, it's all speculation. So, there's no way for us to know truly. But I do think that that's the case. Janice, maybe she's wising up, But also another part of this that I don't think is being talked about enough is it might be Easterby. It might be Easterby going behind OB, who, if you read anything about Jack Easterby, anything in Boston, the guy is a snake. He's been a snake his entire career. He's built his career on being a chaplain and a glue guy for culture and things of that nature. It's very, I don't know, I find it very interesting. But either way, things are not going in the direction that this Texans organization needs them to go. This isn't the week to have these fundamental breakdowns. Okay, we're 0-3. You need a player. Earl Thomas is that player. I like Eric Reed better, but there's other reasons for it. And we'll get into that later. But you still wanted Earl. You couldn't get Earl. So it's almost as if, like, here's the team you put together. Go out and do it or don't. And if you don't, we're going to let you go. And I think that's the path we're headed.
What I will say is if Janice McNair has any control over the football side of this, the organization is screwed. The organization is screwed. That should never be a thing, in my opinion, that the owner can make personnel decisions like that over the head coach, over the GM. So I don't know. I don't know about the whole Easterby thing. I don't know enough about him. It's not really a door I've ever gone down, but it's
Jordan, let me ask you this, though. If you've seen what Bill O'Brien has done and you've stood by and said nothing the entire time, right? DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney. Do you finally get to a point to where it's like, enough is enough? And if that's the only time they've done it, is she really wrong in that manner?
If that's the only time that she's done it, I get it. But then we have to talk about kind of the magnitude of the moves that she's like making these decisions on, right? Like, I don't feel like us adding a potential free agent on a 1-year deal who, yeah, he has some character concerns, but like, what's the worst risk? He blows up in practice again. We just cut him again. Like, I don't think he would ruin this team when this team is already on a 0-3 track. It already has a losing record. There's only to go up from here. You know what I mean? I just feel like the risk reward there for her to jump in right now, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. It seems minimal, right? It's like,
yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know, where the conversation goes, what the ladder actually is that needs to be climbed for decisions and things of that nature. If I was betting, I would say Jack Easterby shot that down because of who he is, religion-wise, things of that nature. I just don't see it. But who knows? Who knows? Either way, the team did not get better today in a day that they could have gotten better. And I think ultimately as fans, that was the biggest thing. I think also the biggest part of this was the fact that we were taking a risk on a character guy that we have not done in the past. And it seems that Obi is desperate and is willing to make these type of decisions to correct a path. Now, I really don't see who I was distracted by a shitty comment. Forgive me. I just don't see how you're going to go into this and come out with nothing. And I think that's the problem that we have really ultimately is the fact that we have no solution.
Yeah. So basically this move was spawned by AJ Moore having his hamstring injury, going on IR. That's what made us go back to this Earl Thomas door, right? And so we still have that problem of who's going to play the second or third safety. And so, yeah, you brought up Eric Reed. There's probably some other names. Tony Jefferson was working out for the Colts. Maybe Eric Berry's another guy. The Texans were scheduled to hold 5 more tryouts or workouts or whatever with safeties. So someone else is going to be signed. So someone else is going to be signed. They know. Sorry, you go, John.
No. And it's one of those things they need a safety. And if you get rid of the baggage, if you just look at it from a football on the field standpoint, Earl Thomas is the best one out there.
Yep.
Now, I think that y'all are both right. It coming from John Lopez, like that's a pretty heavy hitter behind it. However, no team ends up in a good spot when their owner starts getting involved, regardless of anything. At that point, if it's coming down from the ownership to veto something, Bill O'Brien is actually on thin ice, which, me and Jordan have kind of said he should have been. And James just didn't necessarily disagree. You just didn't want to debate it because we are stuck with them. So there's no point in debating it. But this may be that first sign of the crack in the ice. And I think that we'll know more in the next couple of weeks. From a football standpoint, yeah, Thomas, would love to have him here. Drama, I would hope that you have somebody like Deshaun and JJ and whomever else in the locker room that's strong enough to keep him in line, especially him having that big personality and being a superstar. But what do I know? I mean, we're out here. What do we know? Obviously, if somebody vetoed it, then it was vetoed. Then it had to be for character issues because it's definitely not for skill because he would make the team better.
Yeah, it's just disappointing in a week where you need to win. You need to win really bad, about as bad as we've really ever needed one. Even on the in the 2018 season, these have looked a lot different. In the 2018 season, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going off of memory here, but I believe the Patriots game was an end of game touchdown that ended it. And then week 2, who did we play before the Giants?
The Titans.
The Titans, and that was the fake punt touchdown game. So like those 2 games weren't like these first 2 games that we've seen so far this season. We were in them. These last 2 games, really 3 games, the second half of the Steelers game, we really weren't in it. I could be wrong. You guys stop me, but I don't feel like we were in the second half at all based on the game plan and the scheme. we need something. We need a spark. And I don't know if Earl Thomas would have been the answer, but I mean, he can play, and I don't know. It's disappointing, but at the end of the day, like what hasn't
Tony Jefferson and Eric Reed, bring both of them in.
Tony Jefferson visited with the Colts today, I believe, or yesterday.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's other things. There's other ways around it. It didn't have to necessarily be Earl Thomas, and that did scream of desperation. Like it definitely did. But there's other players still out there. If they're that desperate, and I don't know. Again, Bill O'Brien has been shown to make panic moves. He absolutely has been shown, and that is very, very concerning. If Earl Thomas wasn't somebody they were looking at beforehand, if it was a panic move, which it might have been. It might not have been. We unfortunately don't know. But if it was, but again, we'll know in the next couple of weeks, because if it wasn't a panic move, they have somebody behind him lined up to sign, or somebody else they're interested in, a plan B. If it was a panic move, that means they're starting from scratch and they have no idea who they're going to go out and get.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the Earl Thomas stuff? Anything, Jordan? I know that I think you have some stuff that you really want to get out that you're kind of holding back on.
I guess I'll touch on two things. I'll touch on the football aspect of it first. Is like, obviously he's the best player available, and specifically talking about our defense, is he can be someone who can force turnovers. He still has that ability. I saw it in his film last year against the Ravens, and that's the one thing that we're missing on this defense. That's the one thing that could help the defense, but also the offense, get them more possessions, get them a shorter field. And so from like Bill O'Brien's perspective, it totally makes sense to go after Earl Thomas. And like John's been saying, like, this reeks of desperation. I said it's a Hail Mary move. And to me, this kind of like a good takeaway is that Bill O'Brien clearly is on thin ice. I think this decision to kind of forego all his morals about caring about off-field stuff, off-field issues, to forego all of that means he's under some sort of pressure, whether that's from Janice, whether that's from, what's his name?
Cal,
or Easterby. Yeah, whoever it's coming from, there is pressure somewhere. And so that is a good sign. It's a sign that Bill O'Brien is not just going to be able to have like a 500 season or a 9-7 season and remain the Texans head coach. That's what that points to, in my opinion.